Okay. We are live, and I'm going to turn on a light. And I know Allie will be joining us at some point, but running late from work. So we can probably go ahead and get started. I call the TPS meeting to order at 7:02 p.m. on Tuesday, July 2nd. A couple of administrative notes. If you are an attendee, you can raise your hand if you have questions or comments during the meeting. We'll have a presentation on an amplified sound permit during the meeting, and then followed by community comments. And then we'll have time for community comments more generally and any questions that folks have. And I see a couple of attendees that we'll be able to talk through those things with. Yeah. And I will quickly take attendance. Commissioner Jacobson, that's me. I'm here. Committee member Wiltshire Gordon.
Present.
Committee member Wiltshire Gordon is present. I see someone dialed in, which might be Allie. Let me just double check her phone number because I do not have it memorized. It is. I just allowed committee member Vital to speak if she wants to unmute herself.
I'm here. Apologies, I'm on the metro. I'm running late from work.
No better place to take the meeting from if you're running late.
That's what I was thinking.
So committee member Vital is here, and Commissioner Footer could not make it tonight, nor could committee member Schaaf. And with that, we have a quorum with 3 of 5 members. All right. And for the consent agenda for tonight is just approving the meeting minutes from the May meeting. So I will go ahead and make a motion with unanimous consent that we approve those May meeting minutes. Is there any dissent? Hearing none, the meeting minutes are approved. And then in terms of agenda, first up, we have a quick presentation from AO to talk about an amplified sound permit for Hoops for Hope. And then we'll have a discussion with Mr. Durrell. Apologies if I'm mispronouncing your last name, about managing some traffic or parking enforcement in his area. And I will go ahead and promote AO. And he'll be rejoining in just a second.
Hi, good evening. Can you hear me?
Good evening. Yes, how are you doing?
Doing well. How are you?
Good, good. Thanks so much for taking the time out of your night to join us. We can keep it relatively brief. I'll just say we've approved past amplified sound permits for Hoops for Hope. I've been to the event a couple of times. It's a great event. Really looking forward to it again. And if you want to go ahead and just talk about the event, what you love about it, and then talk about your amplified sound permits, and we can go from there.
Yes, we definitely appreciate your ongoing support of this. My name is Ayo Amo. I'm the president of the Hoop for All Foundation. Hoop for All is a 501c3 nonprofit organization founded right here in Washington, D.C., in the Ward 1 community, Uptown community specifically, to increase health awareness overall. A lot of our programs and events are centered around sports and athletics, but the focal point of our programs are to or to increase health resources to community members. So that's anything from providing community members with access to healthcare professionals, free healthcare testing, free healthcare education and materials and things of that sort. Every single year, we host an annual cancer awareness basketball tournament where we highlight different forms of cancer that are affecting people. This year, we'll be hosting the event on August 31st down at Banneker. That's usually the basketball court we host it at every single year. And we'll be targeting stomach cancer. We'll have a couple vendors and organizations there. We'll have some students from the university, community members involved with the event as well. And in addition to basketball games, there will be music, giveaways, food, and it's a free event to attend. So we're just hoping that we can get support of amplified sound this year. And again, amplified sound is for crowd control, so there will be a host kind of managing the crowd as well as a DJ playing music for entertainment.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that. And for folks that aren't aware, one of the rules for the ANC is that amplified sound permits must come before the TPS committee and then be approved by the general body, which will be meeting later this month. But like you said, we've approved it in the past. I expect that we will approve it again. So I'll open the floor up for questions from committee members.
No questions for me. Yeah, that sounds like a wonderful event. I'm hoping to attend if I'm in town, and sounds great to me.
Again, I'll also say for folks that might be concerned, if there is anyone, I've been to Banneker Pool on the weekends, and the music there is pretty loud too. I think all of us are aware of that. And I don't hear complaints about the pool noise. So I'm not expecting complaints about this, given at most they will probably be drowning each other out in noise. So.
Yes, thank you, Skip, and thank you, Josh. And we'll love to invite everyone out. Please let me know how we can send out the flyer and all the information to attend once that time is getting there.
Yeah, actually, if you have just like a small flyer in an image form or just like a quick write-up, we can put it in our ANC newsletter usually. So I'll have one that goes out later this month, and then I'm happy to put it in one of my physical newsletters. So I usually do physical newsletters to my constituents that basically live in the block surrounding Banneker. And if you can give me something rather small, I can fit it onto that newsletter and just let folks know that it'll be happening on, you said it was August 31st?
Yes.
Awesome.
Okay, will do. Thank you.
Yeah, and then I know we have a community member on the line. Feel free to raise your hand if you have any questions at this point for IO or any comments. But otherwise, appreciate you showing up, and I'll make a motion with unanimous consent that we approve the amplified sound permit for the general body, which will be taken up later this month. Is there any dissent? Hearing no dissent, the motion passes, and yeah, we'll go ahead and get that in front of the whole ANC. And you won't need to come for that. I'm not expecting questions that would be useful for you to answer, so you can feel free to keep your night free that night or do whatever you want.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for coming. I'll go ahead and move you back to an attendee. There we go. And Mr. Durrell, I will go ahead and promote you to panelist, and we can chat. Hello, can you hear us?
Yes, good evening.
Good evening, how are you doing?
I am okay.
Well, thanks for taking time of your night to join us. Yeah, for the committee members, and sorry, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing your last name correctly. Is it Durrell?
You pronounce it correct. Yeah, that's right.
Mr. Durilla and I have been chatting about some parking enforcement issues in his neighborhood, and he wanted to come before the committee to chat about how we might be able to help and hold DPW more accountable. So I will let you go ahead and talk about what you want to talk about. Sorry.
Okay. Well, thank you for having me. I have on my block about March 10th, 2023, a parking patrol person was assaulted by a person on my block. And I was the person who called in the 311 request for parking. And so they followed up with the comments saying, like stating this. And since then, the most common response that I get from the Department of Public Works is that me as a resident needs to call MPD on behalf of the parking enforcement to have parking enforced. And I think that's unfair to residents. And I also think that it seems that they have not resolved whether the officer was like okay or assaulted or what they do, because it seemingly the threat is still on my block. So they don't patrol. They actually, it's not that they don't patrol entirely. They will come early in the morning. The people who there are often a lot of people on my block, and so they just avoid coming if it's pretty much after 9 a.m. But it is to me problematic that the agency requests that the residents call the MPD to do the job of parking enforcement. But also, if it's a safety issue, I understand why they would have concerns. So I talked to Commander Butler of the 3rd District of the MPD, and he said that he would offer a liaison to the group, but they don't seem to have taken him up on that request. And all of my follow-ups and requests for feedback have gone really unanswered. So I'm looking for just some support to request that the parking enforcement at least use the resources that are available to them from MPD, or figure something out so that they can patrol my block. But I understand their concern for safety. But at the same time, I think that they should not direct the residents to call MPD on their behalf. And they have put this in writing since March 16th, 2023. The last time I really followed up was the 1st of June, so about a month ago. But I have more than 30 responses during that time of them asking me to call MPD on their behalf. And like I said, to me, it's just, I feel like that's their job. But I still believe, if they have safety concerns, we should try to deal with them. But I don't feel like they've tried to deal with them. So I'm seeking assistance if we could at least, ask them to use the resources that they have. But it's a bigger issue, and I believe it will be ongoing. But it's I would like to try something more, and that's my concern. Thank you for listening.
Yeah, and to be clear, the concerns are usually around folks like parking in crosswalks or parking in front of fire hydrants and things of that nature, right?
Correct. I mean, a lot of it's just residential because there are just a lot of cars on my block that aren't permitted. So we have street cleaning. We don't actually have parking. Like none of the houses on my block have parking. None of them have. We don't have alleys either. So it is a unique block. But it's it would be nice if they patrolled and ticketed. They just decided not to do that. They did say in public comment that there are other areas of the city where that is also the case. Oh, at least they inferred. They did not say that explicitly, but I would, I'll work with what I have now and try to figure out more later. But I'm just trying to deal with what I have now, and I filed a FOIA request for more information, but I have not got any feedback yet. That's another issue. But so I'm trying to focus, and the other issues I can deal with as they come. But the parking enforcement, just I like I said, I understand where they're coming from, but it seems that the type of problem we have is something that should get resolved. And there's no one seems to have incentive to actually, communicate with other agencies. And the way that they protect their workers is to not perform the mission of the agency, which I think is unfair to me as a resident. I think it's unfair to their workers because if someone does get, assaulted or something like that, what happens? And I don't know, but this is where I'm starting with the process.
And could you forward the FOIA request to me?
Yes, I can send that to you. It was filed, they just switched over systems. So I believe it is caught in limbo. And I couldn't find a person to email about that today.
I'm hearing that about a lot of requests, and it almost feels like they're going to decline some of them because people aren't responding because they don't have the ability to.
Yeah.
I would probably file another one under the new system just because they can be a pain sometimes, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah, and I kind of see where the agency is coming from in some sense because there's probably a lot of traffic enforcement requests throughout the district. But if there are people threatening their officers, and these are people that are parking illegally and making it harder to get around and things of that nature, I would suspect that they might be doing other things illegally. And maybe like some of these vehicles are high value, are vehicles that are speeding a lot, things of that nature. And I think getting MPD and them on the same page and getting them to talk to MPD themselves is going to lead to better outcomes than trying to tell. I mean, it's just frankly terrible customer service for them to tell you, no, you should go to this other agency instead, even though we're usually the right agency. But yeah, so are you mostly just looking for us to write a letter in support of your request, or?
Yeah, I mean that's where I can start, I think that I mean it's up to them to decide how they will resolve their internal issues, but as far as, requesting that the community members contact another agency so that they can to do what is the responsibility of the parking enforcement, I think is something they should not do. I'm glad that they put it in writing. I'm glad that they were as consistent as they have been to, repeat this message many times a month over from March 2023 through May 2024. But I mean, like I said, I think they have no incentive to change, but and it's not that I want them to, be uncautious, but that I believe that that's, the mission of the organization. So but a letter of inquiry is a place to start, and it seems to be a much bigger issue. So it's like, I don't know where it goes after the, initial request, but um, they, documented who set the policy. I've actually talked with that person. He seemed to have no incentive to change, and I don't think there's much in it for them to just not patrol a particular area. That's the simplest way for them to, deal with the matter. I just think that is unfair to residents.
Yeah, totally fair. Ali, Skip, did either of you have questions or comments?
No, none for me. I'm sorry, kind of that you're dealing with that, and I think particularly the point you made around the fact they're blocking fire hydrants and crosswalks is, I think, incredibly important to obviously be already incredibly problematic. But the fact that this is, as you said, adversely impacting, your life and the lives of residents on this block, I think brings things into a very clear focus for me.
And I know Allie's probably still in the metro or walking around, so.
I actually just got home, so perfect timing. I have a question. Have you had anyone else in the neighborhood submit 311 requests, or has this been kind of a solo journey?
It has been a solo journey because the responses were so clear. So to me, it was more like, it was more about the agency, and I hope that, we resolve things. But like I said, to me, it's unfair that the agency requests that the residents do things on their behalf. But like I said, they have a legitimate concern for safety. But it's just unresolved, and how can I start to make some headway to request that they, address the issue? But like, I believe they have no incentive to, perform their mission. But I don't really have options other than to document, and that's what I've done. But they have no incentive to, respond to me.
Yeah, I was just curious because I was wondering if maybe any other neighbors were having issues or anything like that. But I think you're identifying the problem correctly, that they don't really have any incentive and do have a legitimate concern as well. But I am sincerely sorry that you were dealing with that issue. And Josh, if the letter is like a first step, I think is maybe a good way to go. I'm happy to sign on support if that's kind of how we want to handle it as a first step. But I will kind of defer to you all.
Yeah, I think that makes the most sense. And I will say the Director Spriggs of DPW, he usually has a quarterly conversation in like the first month of a quarter. So there will probably be one scheduled at some point later this month for community members to join and ask questions of the director. So I'll make a note of, if I get an email about that, to forward that invite onto you, because I think it's just for the general public. So you can join there too if you'd like to ask the question there.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, I can't think of any other questions or comments, but sorry, did you have something else?
No, I've asked what I asked. You guys have been more than accommodating, so thank you for that. I actually have talked to other neighbors, but there are other issues that I'm usually talking with them about, and this happens to be one that's just clearly documented. So I was like, what I can do is document, and I can ask, but it's a start. It's a start.
Yeah. Well, I'll go ahead and work on a letter, and if anyone else wants to work with me on that, that'd be great, and we can go from there.
Well, thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you for your time. Have a good night, and I will move you to an attendee. Skip or Allie, did either of you have other items to discuss?
I do not either.
Cool. We can keep it short.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion with unanimous consent to adjourn the meeting at 7:25 p.m. Just a note, we will not have an August meeting. The next meeting will be in early September. The ANC is taking August off, as a lot of ANCs do. But I will still be around and here to help folks with any questions or concerns that they have. But anyway, sorry, I pulled a few things together there, but I'm making a motion with unanimous consent that we adjourn the meeting at 7:25 p.m. Is there any dissent? Hearing none, the motion passes, and I hope everyone has a good night.
Have a good night, all.
Likewise.